All right, welcome to the video. Today we're looking at section 7.5 where we're going to be factoring x squared plus bx plus c. Now you're going to see 7.5 and 7.6 are going to be relatively the same lesson. The only difference is in 7.6 you're going to have an a in front of x squared. So what this essentially means is anything that we're looking at today, a is actually just going to equal 1. And anytime a equals 1 in a trinomial, it is considered a simple trinomial. If a is something else other than 1, it is considered to be a complex trinomial. So the essential question is, how can you factor trinomials into the product of two binomials? So when they are simple trinomials, there is two things that you have to consider. One is your value of c positive or is your value of c negative? And second, if it is negative, then you have to kind of manipulate your values of B and C um, to make it correct. So first off, let's look at when C is positive. Anytime C is positive, you are going to factor it out as a pair of binomials where the sign is going to be the same. So for instance, in this example right here, you have x squared plus 6x plus 5, and in a separate expression, you have x squared minus 6x plus 5. So in this case here, c was both a plus. Your second sign was a plus. Since the second sign was a plus, that means both signs are the same inside your factored binomial. And it's determined what that sign is of what this value is. Oh, so the first sign was plus, so that's why these first two signs are plus inside the binomial. If you look at the second example here, oh, the first sign is minus. That's why these two are minus inside that second um, factored binomial. Once you realize that the signs are the same and you establish what that specific sign is, then you have to ask yourself two questions. You have to choose two numbers here and here where their sum is going to equal B and their product of those two numbers is going to equal C. So that is why in this example you have 1 and 5 placed where they are, because 1 plus 5 is 6 and 1 times 5 is 5. Same thing goes for that second example. Even though that they're minuses, the question you have to ask yourself remains the same. What two values give me a sum of 6, but their products give me 5? And it's still 1 and 5. Now, when C is negative, now you're going to have to look at the signs being different. So, okay, I got a minus 5, so my second sign is minus, so that's why 1 is plus and 1 is minus. So now the question that you have to ask yourself changes when that second sign is minus. So now you have to figure out two values that are going to give me a product of 5. But now their difference has to be 4. Now, where they get placed, depending on which binomial you put the sign for positive and negative. Now I look at this first sign here, this one's minus. That just means that the larger number is going to be attached to the minus. So that's why 5 is larger than 1. That's why the 5 got attached to the minus in this particular situation. 5 minus 1 is 4, but 5 times 1 is still 5. If you had an example where it went x squared plus 4x minus 5, you would have parentheses, parentheses, x and x. Minus 5 means the signs are different, but because I have the plus 4, that means the large number is attached to the plus. So the 5 would go with the plus and the 1 would go with the minus. Like I tell most students when they are factoring, it takes a lot of practice and to be able to um, see it with ease. But initially, it is something that is can be quite a challenge. So they're asking us to factor x squared plus 10x plus 16. It's a trinomial, so I know it's going to be a pair of binomials. So I'm just going to go parentheses, parentheses. And since it's a simple one, simple trinomial, I'm going to say x and x, because x times x is x squared. You can always check your answer or check your work by foiling it out and see if you get the original expression from the problem. If you didn't, you may have did something incorrect in the factoring process. So now the second sign is plus. That means the signs are the same, and both of those signs are also plus because the first sign is a plus. Now I have to fill in two numbers. Those two numbers have to give me a product of 16, but their sum has to give me 10. And that pairing is going to be 8 and 2 because 8 times 2 is 16, and 8 plus 2 is 10. Looking at these two examples here, these are both situations where the signs are going to be the same because the second sign is plus. So I got x and x, and the first sign is plus, so they'll both be pluses. All right, looking at the first example, what two values give me a product of 6, but their sum is 7? Well, 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 plus 1 is 7. Looking at number 2, parentheses, parentheses, I got x and x, same sign plus. Two values give me a product of 8, sum is 9. 8 times 1 is 8, and 8 plus 1 is 9. Like I said, you can check it out. So if like I went x times x, x squared, x times 1 is plus x, 8 times x is plus 8x, and 8 times 1 is plus 8. Combining like terms here. When you combine those like terms, you do in fact get x squared plus 9x plus 8. So again, this is just checking your work. Here, we have a situation where we have same sign, so I can say x and x, but the same sign is a minus. When they're the same signs, still the question remains the same. What two values give me a product of 12, but their sum is 8? And in this case, it's going to be 6 and 2, because 6 times 2 is 12. 6 plus 2 is 8. Here now, our second sign is minus, so we still can write x and x, but now we write plus and minus. So now the question now changes. We are still going to look for two values that give me a product of 21, but now we're looking for those same two numbers that give me a difference of 4. The first sign is plus, so the larger number is going to be attached to the plus within these two binomials. And 7 and 3, because 7 times 3 is 21, but 7 minus 3 is 4. And like, I'm not going to go over all of these values in the video. If there is something that you find challenging, please comment down below. I'm more than happy to cater to those specific problems. I'll do a couple. Let's look at number 4 right here. So here, parentheses, parentheses, n, same sign, minus. What two values give me a product of 35, but their sum is 12, 7, and 5. You could also write this as n minus 5 times by the quantity of n minus 7. These two are the same because multiplication is commutative. And let's look at example 7 here. So got y and y. Second sign is a minus. So I know it's going to be signs are difference, plus minus. Larger numbers attached to the plus. So now the question is, what two values give me a product of 30, but their difference is 13? Well, 15 times it by 2 is 30, but 15 minus 2 is 13. Okay, so here it says a farmer plants a rectangular pumpkin patch in the northeast corner of a square plot of land. The area of the pumpkin patch is 600 square meters. What is the area of the square plot of land? So what they are saying is or what they're looking for is they want you to find the area of the square plot of land. So it appears that you're looking for this whole area, not including the pumpkin patch. So they're saying that the pumpkin patch is what, 600 square meters. So here's how we can kind of go about solving this. So since they tell you that it's a square, that means whatever the distance from here to here is going to be the same as the distance from here to here. Those hash marks just tell me that those are the same. But they gave you some values. They're telling you that the distance from here to here is 30, and the distance from here to here is 40. So even though we don't know what this is, and we don't know what this distance is either, we can use that, we can still use this to our advantage to be able to figure out what the value is for S, to be able to figure out what the area is for the entire plot of land. So there, we know that the square units or square meters of the pumpkin patch is 600 square meters. So I'm going to write that in. And I know that the area of a rectangle is length times it by width. So if I look at the length, so I'm just going to call this the length here. And even though I don't know what it is, this whole thing is S. And to figure out what this is, I'm going to say that, oh, this is going to be S minus 30 times it by, again, I don't know what this is here either, but I can tell you that it's going to be S minus 40. All right, so when you get a situation like this kind of problem, what you are going to do first is you need to multiply these two sets of binomials. You need to multiply s minus 30 times by the quantity of s minus 40. The reason you need to do so in order to solve this is this part of the equation must be set equal to 0. So I'm going to leave it this as 600, and it's going to be equal to, so when I FOIL this out, it is going to turn into s squared minus, because 30 and 40 will give me 70s plus 30 times 40, and negative times negative is positive, that's why it's a plus, so it's going to be 1200. Now, I can set this equal to 0, so this is going to subtract 600 to both sides. So now I got 0 equals s squared minus 70s plus 600. So now I can go about and say, okay, 0 is going to be equal to, now I can factor this. So this is going to be parentheses, parentheses. I can say this is S, and this is going to be minus, minus because the first sign was, or second sign was plus, which means the signs are the same. That means that both values are going to be minuses because of the first sign. And I need to figure out two values. They give me a product of 600, but their sum gives me 70. Now, think it over. You should be able to, if you need more time, please pause it, but I'm going to go on. The two values that you're going to get are 60 and 10, because 60 times 10 is 600, and 60 plus 10 is 70. Finally, you got to implement the zero product property. Set those equal to 0. That means S is going to equal 60, and S is going to equal 10. But what you also have to realize is this, yeah, we did get two answers, but this one here doesn't make sense because it's telling you right here that the distance from here to here is 40 and the distance from here to here is 30, so it couldn't possibly be 10, so this answer gets eliminated. So the only situation that makes sense is the side is going to be 60. So to answer the question, what is the area of the square plot of land? It is essentially going to be 60 times 60, which is 3,600 square meters. And that is being able to factor x squared plus bx plus c. Hope this helps. Until next time.